Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, June 2022. The month starts with the ruler of your 7th house and the ruler of your 10th house of career, Mercury, turning direct. For the past month, almost it was retrograde. So if there were some complications regarding your personal relationships or business relationships with clients or partners, or with your career, if there were some delays, complications, after the first week of June, they would improve. Actually, the first week there can be still some complications, escalations of problems there, because Mercury is square Saturn, a planet of problems, but you're resolving them gradually. And after the first week, 10 days of June, you'll see a very positive turn in regards to your personal relationship, business ones, in regards to career projects, and any complications or delays there as well, or in regards to anything to do with career. Uh, but Mercury is turning direct actually in your 6th house, which is directly related to work as well. So if there was a difficult situation at your office, work environment, some delays of a work project, it's a final push the beginning of June, and it starts improving, giving results. If you have to make some changes there in your work processes or in your health routines, processes, you start seeing positive results after that. Plus, if there were some complications to your health when Mercury was retrograde in your 6th house, you can start seeing improvements after the first week. Maybe some escalation, the need for final correction when Saturn is squaring Mercury when it's turned direct, but then things start moving forward there and improving. Plus, Venus is in your 6th house the whole month almost, Sagittarius, so it's further helping improve the conditions of your work environment, the conditions of your health as well, improve your health overall, if there was some crisis there. At the same time that Mercury is turning direct, Saturn is turning retrograde. So you might have noticed a bit of a slowing down, especially in matters of communication, of business, of everyday activities. Saturn is turning retrograde in your 3rd house for the next 5 months. There can be a turnaround in relationships with siblings, with relatives, with mates, friends. And it might be a time for culling and reassessment. Who do you let in your life? 3rd house is your everyday casual contacts, what you read on the internet, what you let into your mind through TV, through reading, through social media, the people that you communicate on a daily basis, or through, through in social media. So some of you might do some reevaluating and set boundaries in who you let in your life, or what kind of information, to restrict the flow of information somehow as well, and the flow of communications, so it can still your mind a bit and focus it on more serious matters rather than everyday chit chat and everyday gossip news. And you have a very doubting eye to any kind of information you receive. It's been happening for a couple of years for you, but it continues intensely. This process intensifies now in June. What do you let? And every information you let, you are the sign of truth, Sagittarius. So it's very important to veto, or what's it called, like check fact your information. And often it can create even distrust to social media or to sources of information, like the mainstream media as well, to re-examine your sources of information. On a positive level, it's a time to, as I said, deepen your mind, maybe study something deeper, maybe go back to complete some course of study you started before, or if you're already studying something, to deepen onto it, to really improve your techniques, your skills of some sort. Maybe to learn a difficult things like a language, because a retrograde planet makes you do something very difficult that progresses very slowly, but especially Saturn gives you the ability to cope with this difficulty and to persevere day by day, little by little. It's like learning a language, learning to drive, learning to operate any new skill. I mean, learning to use some software, learning to make a website, learning to knit, or whatever it is. So you can really deepen such skills now when Saturn is retrograde. Or you can go back to old such interests that you left behind. Maybe you used to, I don't know, to do programming. Now you might come back to it. Maybe you used to do something, some skill, something that was of interest to you. You can make it more masterful now. You can revive it, go back to it. On another level, it can mean some project connected to writing, to speaking, to marketing, advertising, to business online, to trading, to sales, can slow down. And you might want to, for example, restructure your website or your marketing skill or marketing campaign, or reorganize what kind of clients you want to reach. And they need some very difficult business meetings. Things go slowly if you're working on some project, whether online or whatever, that requires your intelligence, communication skills, that it's kind of you're working extra hard on such matters. But as I said, your mind is way more focused, way more organized when Saturn is in the third, especially retrograde. And by the time this retrogradation finishes at the end, in 5 months or something, 4 or 5 months, you'd have a much clearer mind, much stiller mind, much more organized thought, a deepened skills at something, a much more better project if you're working on some commercial business project. But again, it can take longer because Saturn is retrograde there. And maybe working in a small group environment with others, if you have colleagues, or if you're working with 2-3 people on something, there can be some delays. They need to restructure, change a project, to reorganize, returning it over and over, checking it, editing it, but the final result can be great. Sometimes Saturn can limit access to information, communication, cars, transportation, can make it more complicated when it's retrograde. Maybe your car needs repairs all the time, or if you're buying a new vehicle, I'll advise you buy a second-hand one. The Saturn retrograde. Or if you're buying laptops and so on, the laptops might break up more, communication devices. You can lose contact with some people sometimes, so you can consciously decide to lose contact with some people. You just don't want them. You're killing people that are wasting your time, and just leaving people that are more, that you can have some more practical results with. All right, but it can sometimes cool off relationships with siblings, with relatives, or rethink them and put the right boundaries. So maybe do some projects together with colleagues, neighbors, relatives, siblings that requires extra effort. June the 13th, Mercury moves Sagittarius into your, from your 6th house that we talked about, moves into your 7th house. So the focus will become a lot more on relationships for a little bit. Well, it's already been on a relationship. There was a new moon at the beginning of the month in June in your 7th house. Mercury intensifies the energy there. So new people can appear in your life. They're more interesting. While you are removing certain people, Saturn in the 3rd house, some new people can come as well, because Mercury goes into another social house. Such people that there might be more clients, or there might be one-on-one, someone that you communicate with, or a new relationship interest. But it has youthful energy, and because Mercury is in its own sign, it's positive. It brings you new ideas, it excites you to try something new, to experiment. It brings new interesting communications, makes you laugh. Or maybe if you're already in a relationship, it kind of, the banter becomes more enjoyable. You enjoy some mutual hobbies together, you do some interesting things together, you socialize more. And Venus will go and join it on the 23rd in your 7th house. So fantastic time to meet new people. Again, it continues that trend to be more social, even romantic developments, towards the end of June, with more attractive, more pleasant people, and your communications with others, Venus, Mercury, become more pleasant, while at the same time you're keeping the right boundaries for people not to waste your time with Saturn in the 3rd house, and your mind is still focused and organized. But possibly because of this culling and boundaries and rethinking that Saturn is doing, you're also making space for something fresher energy, of more likable, more fresh energy from others. And of course, that can be a good time to reach out as well to others in some way, new clients as well. Or if you have to present something to another, it will be accepted much better after June the 13th, June 23rd, when Venus and Mercury in your 7th house. It can be a great time to collaborate with another, to do something with a partner, for example, and to have more focus on partnerships, more social time, while continuing Saturn the 3rd house to keep your social qualities more, in a sense, more streamlined, and more knowing when to say no as well. And there is a full moon in your sign on June the 14th, which means that escalation, completion of some project maybe that you started a long time ago, or some culmination, spotlight is on you. Um, Usually I tend to see results of previous actions when there is a moon, a full moon in my sun sign, on the ascendant sign as well, or the moon. There is a spotlight on you, and especially those Sagittarius that are born a bit later, 20 to 30 degrees can feel it the most. And it's an eclipse that can make you more popular, that can make you more visible in some way, that can make you pay attention to your physical appearance as well. Um, and some important escalation in your life about something that you're already aware of that has started, hopefully in a positive way. So thank you so much, Sagittarius.